بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السيدات والسادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. في ظل الظروف الراهنة وما يشهده العالم من تحديات، وعلى وجه الخصوص ما يتعلق بإغلاق مضيق هرمز وما ترتب عليه من تأثيرات مباشرة على انسيابية حركة البضائع وسلاسل الإمداد، تبرز أهمية التحرك السريع لإيجاد حلول عملية تضمن استقرار الأسواق واستمرار تدفق السلع بشكل طبيعي، وانطلاقاً من دورها الحيوي ومسؤولياتها الوطنية، تسعى غرفة تجارة وصناعة الكويت إلى استكشاف البدائل الفعالة ووضع الحلول البديلة للحفاظ على المعدلات الطبيعية لتوفر البضائع في الأسواق الكويتية. وبناء على ما تقدم، يسر الغرفة أن تستضيف اليوم السادة ممثلي ميناء نيوم من المملكة العربية السعودية الشقيقة للاطلاع على الفرص المتاحة وبحث سبل التعاون المشترك في هذا الشأن، بما يسهم في تعزيز مرونة سلاسل الإمداد وفتح آفاق جديدة تخدم الاقتصاد الكويتي. كلمة ترحيبية يلقيها السيد رباح عبد الرحمن رباح، مدير عام غرفة تجارة وصناعة الكويت، فليتفضل.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. سيد عبد العزيز عبد الله السلامة، مدير عام تطوير الأعمال في ميناء نيوم. السيد رانجيث باول، مدير المكتب التنفيذي في ميناء نيوم. السيد جان ويليام إدريان، مدير عام سلاسل الإمداد والخدمات اللوجستية. السيدات والسادة، اسمحوا لي في البداية أن أرحب بوفد ميناء نيوم، أحد أبرز رموز التحول الاقتصادي في المملكة العربية السعودية الشقيقة، حيث ترسم ملامح مرحلة جديدة في عالم التجارة والخدمات اللوجستية. كما أتقدم بالشكر الجزيل للسادة مسؤولي الجهات الحكومية على حضورهم واهتمامهم الكبير بهذا اللقاء. إنه من الواجب علينا في ظل الظروف الاستثنائية الراهنة التي تمر بها دول المنطقة أن نستذكر بكل تقدير القيادة الحكيمة لحضرة صاحب السمو أمير البلاد الشيخ مشعل الأحمد الجابر الصباح حفظه الله ورعاه، وولي عهده الأمين الشيخ صباح خالد الحمد الصباح. وكذلك نشيد بجهود كافة الجهات الحكومية في الكويت، فإلى جانب ما تقوم به الجهات الأمنية من عمل دؤوب وسهرا على حماية وصون بلادنا الحبيب، فإن هنالك مساع حثيثة تبذل من قبل وزارة التجارة والصناعة لضمان انسيابية حركة البضائع وتيسير سلاسل الإمداد، بما يسهم في توفير السلع الأساسية والضرورية للمواطنين والمقيمين على حد سواء. وتعكس هذه الجهود الحرص لتعزيز الأمن الغذائي واستقرار الأسواق المحلية، بما يحقق المصلحة العامة ويحافظ على استمرارية الحياة الاقتصادية بشكل منتظم. كما تشمل هذه الجهود السعي الحثيث لإيجاد حلول وبدائل لوجستية فعالة عبر الاستفادة من موانئ إقليمية بديلة مثل ميناء الفجيرة وميناء خورفكان وميناء عبد الله وميناء جدة، بما يضمن استمرارية تدفق السلع وتعزيز مرونة سلاسل الإمداد في مواجهة التحديات الراهنة. وإننا في غرفة تجارة وصناعة الكويت إذ نثمن هذه المبادرة من جانب السادة مسؤولي ميناء نيوم لعقد هذا اللقاء والتعريف بهذا المشروع الطموح، نستذكر بكل فخر عمق العلاقات الأخوية والاقتصادية بين دولة الكويت والمملكة العربية السعودية الشقيقة، والتي تتطور بثبات نحو شراكات أكثر تكاملاً وتأثيراً. لقد أصبحت المملكة العربية السعودية نموذجاً يحتذى به في التطور والتحديث، حيث تشهد نهضة شاملة في مختلف القطاعات، وفي مقدمتها قطاع الخدمات اللوجستية والنقل البحري، الذي يعد ركيزة أساسية في دعم الاقتصاد وتنويع مصادر الدخل. الحضور الكريم، يأتي مشروع نيوم ليجسد هذه الرؤية الطموحة للأشقاء في المملكة من خلال بنية تحتية متقدمة وتقنيات حديثة وموقع استراتيجي يربط بين أهم طرق التجارة العالمية. وفي ظل الظروف الحالية والتي نتج عنها إغلاق مضيق هرمز شريان الحياة لدول المنطقة وحد أهم المنافذ البحرية التي تمر عبره أكثر من 30% من التجارة العالمية يومياً، وانطلاقاً من إدراك الغرفة لأهمية إيجاد بدائل وحلول استراتيجية لأكبر عائق يواجه سلاسل الإمداد في الوقت الحالي، من خلال البحث عن موانئ بديلة تؤمن احتياجات الكويت من البضائع والسلع المهمة. فقد حرصت الغرفة على توسيع دائرة الدعوة لحضور هذا اللقاء لتشمل المعنيين من الجهات الحكومية وشركات القطاع الخاص، وإيماناً منها بضرورة الاطلاع المشترك على مثل هذه المشاريع الاستراتيجية. أننا في الغرفة ننظر باهتمام كبير إلى هذه المشاريع النوعية لما تحمله من فرص واعدة للتعاون والاستثمار، خصوصاً في ظل التوجه نحو التكامل الاقتصادي الإقليمي وتعزيز دور القطاع الخاص كشريك استراتيجي في التنمية. ختاماً، نؤكد حرص غرفة تجارة وصناعة الكويت على دعم كل ما من شأنه تعزيز التعاون مع الأشقاء في المملكة العربية السعودية، ونتطلع إلى نتائج مثمرة لهذه الزيارة تعود بالنفع على بلدينا. ولا يفوتني في نهاية كلمتي أن أتقدم بخالص الشكر والتقدير لممثلي القطاع الخاص الكويتي على حرصه واهتمامه بحضور هذا اللقاء. وقبل أن أنقل الكلمة إلى السيد عبد العزيز السلامة، أود التنويه إلى أن هذا اللقاء بمحاوره ونقاشاته يهدف بالدرجة الأولى إلى التركيز على استكشاف قدرات وإمكانيات ميناء نيوم بالتحديد، ومدى توافر الفرص الاستثمارية المشتركة التي يمكن أن تعزز من العلاقات الاقتصادية بين بلدينا الشقيقين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. شكرا.
والآن مع كلمة السيد عبد العزيز عبد الله السلامة، مدير تطوير الأعمال في ميناء نيوم، فليتفضل مشكورا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جميعا. بالبداية نشكر حضوركم وتخصيص وقت للقائنا هذا اليوم، ونشكر كذلك بالبداية الغرفة والتجارة وصناعة الكويت على تنظيم هذا الحدث بسرعة فائقة، ونشكر كذلك جميع العاملين الذين خلف هذا وترتيب هذا الحدث، ونشكركم مرة أخرى للحضور. نعرف بأنفسنا، نحن من ميناء نيوم. عبد العزيز عبد الله السلامة، مدير عام تطوير الأعمال في ميناء نيوم، وخاصة في المناطق الشمالية من المملكة العربية السعودية وكذلك دول مجلس التعاون. أعرف بزميلي يان ويليام حيث أنه المدير التنفيذي لسلاسل الإمداد والخدمات اللوجستية في ميناء نيوم. زميلي الآخر رانجث بول، المستشار المسؤول والمدير التنفيذي للمدير التنفيذي لنيوم. بالبداية وقبل ذي البدء يعني نشير إلى نقطة مهمة تم تناولها يعني كما قيلت لدينا من ولي العهد السعودية، ولي العهد المملكة العربية السعودية الأمير محمد بن سلمان بن عبد العزيز، وحينما أطلقت رؤية السعودية في عام 2017 بأن المملكة العربية السعودية تكون منصة لوجستية بحكم موقعها الإسلامي والعربي. هذا أول ركيزة، والركيزة كذلك الأخرى بحكمها بين الاستراتيجي بين 3 قارات، وتشمل آسيا وقارة إفريقيا وكذلك قارة أوروبا. وبلا شك لنا حظوة جيدة في ميناء نيوم بحكم موقعنا الاستراتيجي لأقرب هذه النقاط، سواء القارة الإفريقية وخاصة شمال أفريقيا، وتشمل على سبيل المثال وليس الحصر مصر، تونس، الجزائر، المغرب، وكذلك الدول الفاعلة والأسواق الفاعلة في قارة أوروبا، وكذلك الجزء الآخر من آسيا من تركيا وبعض أجزاء أوروبا الأخرى كذلك في اليونان. ويطيب لي في هذا المساء أن أحييكم مرة أخرى، وخير ما نبدأ به هو عرض مرئي أو عرض برزنتيشن للتعريف في إمكانات ميناء نيوم، ثم عاد الوقت يكون مناسب للحوار والمناقشة مع الأخوة الحضور والمهتمين في الاستيراد والتصدير والاستفادة من الخدمات اللوجستية الموجودة في ميناء نيوم. طبعا على ناحيتين، الناحية الأولى هي على المدى القصير والمدى الطويل. نحن والغرض الرئيسي من جيتنا هذا اليوم هو بناء نظام ايكو سيستم في نظام سلاسل الواردات، وخاصة إنشاء خط جيد للاستيراد والتصدير من دولة الكويت إلى ميناء نيوم. مرة أخرى سنبدأ في العرض البرزنتيشن حاليا، ثم عاد يكون اللقاء مفتوح للأخوة الحضور وخاصة الشركات المهتمة للاستيراد والتصدير من ميناء نيوم.
شكرا لك. أما الآن نترككم مع عرض خدمات ميناء نيوم للاستيراد والتصدير والخدمات اللوجستية المختلفة.
الله يعافيك.
نرحب فيكم اليوم.
The world's trade routes are shifting. At the crossroads of east-west trade sits Port of Neom. Fully operational on the Red Sea, the port is handling complex cargo around the clock, with capacity to support more cargo flows today. Port of Neom connects key regional and global markets through active multimodal corridors, linking Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and the wider GCC. Working with major shipping partners and regional operators, the port is helping move cargo more efficiently across land and sea through a proven growing network. And this is just the beginning. With further expansions underway, the port will be able to welcome larger vessels and significantly expand its cargo handling capacity in the years ahead. Port of Neom, connecting Saudi to the world.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that short video of the Port of Neom on the Red Sea. We will now do a presentation to show you that the Port of Neom, although a young port, that has just begun in the past few years. It is also a port that is very active today and ready to assist immediately in all of your supply chain needs.
Yeah. You can do it from here. Just ننوه لكم إذا حابين أجهزة ترجمة موجودة للعامة.
Thank you. So this presentation is to show you, one, what the vision of Neom Port is in the future, and also to show you what we can do immediately for in the Port of Neom. Let me just start with the master plan. The vision for the Port of Neom is an integrated industrial zone combined with a port. In the industrial zone, which we call Oxagon, there is an industrial quarter that contains data centres and tech and digital and renewable energy, such as wind turbines and hydrogen and other renewable energy. On the left-hand side of this presentation, you can see the port itself. In the port, it is an operating port today. Everything you see on this map is real, apart from the floating section in the front of the port. That is for the future, but the port itself is there today, as I will show you on the next slide. So this is a photo. This is real. It's not a rendering. What you see here is an existing terminal that is called Terminal 0, and that is the paved area in the centre of the port, where you see the Ro-Pax ferry docking. Now that area is it has a very large amount of land for storage, both of containers as well as general cargo and bulk. The number of we have 10 mobile harbour cranes in that terminal 0. Those are available today and can be used to unload containers as well as bulk and general cargo. Also in the distance, in the north part of this photo, you can see a very, very large empty area. That is for our future expansion plans, but we can use it today for storage of bulk and general. So that area could contain millions of tons of dry bulk, or it could be used for developing liquid bulk storage facilities as well. If we move to the left-hand side of this photo, you can see Terminal 1. Terminal 1 is a container terminal. It is not completely finished. The intention was to develop this and be ready for operations in the middle of 2026. However, because of the events in the Arabian Gulf, we are pulling forward the commissioning of the ship-to-shore cranes in the container terminal, such that immediately we can handle 250,000 TEUs, and in another few months we will be able to handle 500,000 TEUs. By the end of 2026, this container terminal will have a full capacity of 1.5 million TEUs. It has currently 6 ship-to-shore cranes. The ship-to-shore cranes are the largest in the world, with 25 containers outreach, and therefore will be able to handle the largest ships in the world, 20,000 TEUs or 24,000 TEUs. This slide is showing you the existing operations. So Port of Neom has been operating now for, in its current form, for 2 years, and it already contains a hosting of feeder operations. Those feeder operations are shipping companies that are calling in at the Red Sea ports. One of them is Folk Maritime, which is a Saudi feeder company. The port operates 24/7. And it already has 1 kilometre of container quay, plus the bulk and general capacity that I mentioned earlier. It currently has a capacity of 200,000 square metres for general cargo, and it has ability to handle, as I said, millions of tonnes of dry bulk as needed. We also have 10 reefer plugs. So this could be used immediately for reefer storage at the port and reefer loading. We have tugboats today. There is a fleet of 3 tugboats, and they have a 65-tonne bollard pull capacity, so well able to handle ships up to 10,000 TEUs today. There is a large warehouse operation that is in place. The capacity of these warehouses today are 46,000 square metres, and we have chilled, frozen and ambient temperature warehousing facilities. This photo is to show you the current ship-to-shore cranes, to show you that the cranes are in place today and are real. So the height of these ship-to-shore cranes is 93 metres. So this can handle 6 high stacking on container vessels. At the moment, the capacity of the container volumes is 10,000 TEUs, but these ship-to-shore cranes are designed ultimately to handle 20,000 TEU ships plus. So by the end of the year, we can be handling the larger ships. But in the immediate term, we can handle up to 10,000 TEU ships. The outreach is 26 containers wide, which is larger than the largest container ships in the world today. We also have 30 ERTGs, electric RTGs, and the lift capacity of the ship-to-shore cranes is 100 tonnes, which is at the moment the largest safe working load ship-to-shore crane capacity in the world. Now, this slide is to come to the current events in the Arabian Gulf. What the Port of Neom is proposing is that we are able to provide an overland route, both import and export, from the Red Sea to the Arabian Gulf. The port itself in Neom is the closest port located to the Suez Canal, and therefore is the fastest route to connect into Europe. We can, of course, connect also through the Red Sea, through the Straits of Mandab. Yes, there are issues in the Straits of Mandab today in Yemen, but at the moment the Straits of Mandab are open, and therefore the Port of Neom could be a good access point for Asian cargo and Chinese cargo travelling to the east. But the primary purpose of Neom is to focus on Egypt cargo and cargo going through the Suez Canal to the East Med and to Europe. I should say also that for the Egyptian cargo, we have a RoPax service, a Ro-Ro passenger ferry service that connects across from the Port of Neom to the port of Safaga or Safaja in Egypt. And that facility is operating 20 times a week and allows for cargo to be transited on existing Egyptian trucks without unloading from the truck onto the Ro-Ro service across to Egypt. In terms of the road connection, there is a road connection that goes from Neom through the Saudi Arabian towns of Tabuk and Arar. Arar is on the border with Iraq. And then from Arar, it would connect into by road into Kuwait. This map does not show it, but there is also a rail connection, just for your interest, and possibly it's of use as well for some people in this room. There is a rail connection that is from Dammam, and it bypasses Riyadh, which is a congested area, and goes to either the rail depot of Hail or closer to the Iraqi border in the town of Al-Juf. And from Al-Juf, the cargo can be unloaded and put onto trucks for connection to Neom. The reason I mention this rail service today is that we all know that the prices for trucking across the Saudi Arabian landmass are quite high. We all see that. What I would mention is that if you use the Saudi Arabian rail service, they are very fair on their road rail pricing. So it might be worth, in your investigations, looking into road freight from Kuwait to Dammam, and then from Dammam onwards to either Hale or Al Juf by rail, and then by road to Neom. I'm not saying it will be the best option for most people. I think for most, road is the way to go. But because of the pricing, you might find that that's an interesting option to consider. So if we look at our value proposition of the Port of Neom, the first thing, which I'm sure everyone in this room knows, is that the Red Sea is on the main east-west shipping route, which connects Asia and China to Europe through the Suez Canal. So 11% of the world's container traffic moves through the Red Sea, and 30% by value of cargo moves through the Red Sea and onto Europe. So Neom is in an ideal location to capitalise on what is already a very, very busy, the world's largest shipping route by value. And Neom is in the ideal location because it's so close to the Suez Canal. In addition to that, the Port of Neom does have a natural catchment area, which is the northwest area of Saudi Arabia. But most importantly, it has the same distance by road from Kuwait to the Port of Neom as from going Kuwait to the Port of Jeddah, which is the traditional option that people think about in the Red Sea. So I'll say that again. The distance between Kuwait and Neom is the same by road as going to the Port of Jeddah. So that is something definitely worth considering. In addition to that, what we see in the Port of Neom today is the road congestion in the area of the Port of Neom is minimal. There is, you have a highway which is dual carriageway, concrete divider, all the way from Kuwait to the Port of Neom, and the distance from the highway to the Port of Neom is about 15 minutes. It is never more than 15 to 20 minutes. Compare that to the Port of Jeddah, where the distance and the time between the highway and the port itself is minimum 2 hours, and it can be a lot more than that. So in terms of congestion for your truckers who are bringing the goods, they will find it's a lot more convenient to come to the Port of Neom as opposed to other parts of the Red Sea. The other thing I'll mention is the operating control of the Port of Neom is fully contained within the Port of Neom. So all of the vessel traffic services, the marine services, the operations, and part of the authority functions are all contained within the same management team. So in terms of making decisions, we can be agile and we can be rapid response, particularly at the moment where all of Saudi Arabia is coming together to help our brothers in the Gulf countries. And if there is any chance to obtain waivers, exemptions in order to speed the traffic through Saudi Arabia, this is the time to ask, because the Saudi Arabian government, Mawani in Saudi Arabia, all want to support all of the ports in the Red Sea to enhance the efficiency between our two countries for this transit cargo. All we ask is if you have any specific issues in terms of transit cargo to do with the border or customs or Mawani, whatever it is, all we ask is send us the specific request, and we will see what we can do as the Port of Neom to coordinate with the relevant government authorities in Saudi Arabia to see if we can resolve the issue in partnership with yourselves. So lastly, why come to the Port of Neom? Well, one, Neom is a smarter move. It is a port which is highly automated, it's highly efficient, it has the space in order to store any type of good, and it also has a full zero emissions port. That means that all of the construction of the port was designed with zero carbon emissions in place. This is important for the beneficial cargo owners who are looking for supply chains that minimise the amount of carbon emissions so that they can receive the appropriate credit and carbon credits from their customers. So this is also something to think about in making your decision about where to locate on the Red Sea. So I'll end with that and that note that you may find that the Port of Neom, although you haven't thought about it, is actually a smarter choice, particularly in these times of crisis. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will just say one more thing, that we have some brochures here, and we can send you electronically, but we can also give you brochures. All I ask, because we are business people, is that in exchange for our brochures, that you pass us your business cards so that we can record and follow up with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ranjit.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr.
Yes, I just wanted to add one thing to clarify. As part of the current situation that we have, regulations have actually the opportunity to change very quickly. One of the requests that has been made is for European trucks to be allowed to transit through Egypt onto the ferry to Safaja to go to Neom, Port of Neom, onwards to Saudi Arabia, but as well as UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, all the GCC countries. As of about a month ago, this was approved by the Egyptian government, and we have started the first connections for road transport from within Europe. So you'd think Germany, Poland, France, Italy, into Trieste, where it goes onto a roll-on, roll-off ferry that gets into Alexandria in Egypt. From there they drive down to Safaja, and then they go through to the Port of Neom to its destination. All these are actually done under the TIR regulations, which means we have minimal checks at the border. The trucks are sealed. They are scanned with the X-ray scanners in Neom, canine inspection of the cabin, but that's all we do. So most of those trucks that we've seen coming in there with the correct paperwork are in and out of the port within 2 hours. And we have had the first shipment into Kuwait. We have had also the first shipments already into UAE. So last week we had about the first 20 shipments, and we expect this volume to increase steadily, as it is an alternative route to get perishables and other high-value goods through road, and avoiding the issues that are currently between the Turkey and Iraq border. So this is an existing route. We're working with partners, so anybody that's interested in that, it would connect you either import or export to the European and the Mediterranean markets as an alternative.
قبل أن نبدأ الأسئلة والاستفسارات اللي عندكم، أنا بس أكرر الترحيب في ضيوف وأشكرهم على عنائهم في القدوم في هذه الظروف اللي نمر فيها، وكانت رحلتهم مو سهلة. أيضا أشكر لكم اهتمامكم وحضوركم، وأشير إلى أهمية هذا اللقاء وأهمية الاستفادة منه في إيجاد منافذ جديدة ومتنوعة تخدم ما نمر فيه من ظروف الآن، وتخدمنا أيضا في المستقبل. يعني احنا استمعنا إلى العرض التقديمي، واعتقد عندكم بعض الاستفسارات. نبدأ في سيد مطلق زايد بو يوسف، تفضل.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. أول شيء أشكركم كثير الشكر كغرفة وضيوفكم الأعزاء حقيقة، خصوصا في مثل هذه الأوقات ومثل هذه الظروف اللي احنا نمر فيها، انكم تكونون موجودين وتقدمون هذه التسهيلات او الفاسيلتيز او التعريف بهذه يعني الميناء اللي احنا نسمع عنه الكثير، بس الحين ممكن ندخل معاكم اندبث فيه، وهذا الموضوع حقيقة مقدر جدا من طرفكم. احنا بس نبي نعرف يعني بعض الأمور، بس قبل لا هذا لازم نعرف أن ما حدث في مضيق هرمز هو يعتبر يعني صعوبة أو تحدي في جميع الأوجه، خصوصا للثلاث دول اللي هم الكويت، قطر، البحرين، هم المتأثرين الكبار في هذا الموضوع. وهنا يعني والحمد لله من التعاون اللي شفناه من الأخوان في المملكة على جميع القطاعات الخاص والحكومي بدأ هذا الموضوع. وإحنا حقيقة خلال الشهر ونص اللي فاتوا كان في تعاون وايد كبير، ونتمنى يعني بالأكثر، ونتمنى أن يكون هناك مو تعاون آني، لازم يكون هناك حلول دائمة لهذا الموضوع. واعتقد أن واحد من الحلول الدائمة هي اللي تفضلتوا فيه بالبرزنتيشن. طبعا هذه مقدمة كان لابد ان احنا نقولها، بس في عندي بعض النقاط ارجو انكم يعني توضحونها لنا، لان يعني هذه تخص عمل شركة مطاحة الدقيق والمخابز الكويتية بالخصوص، وتخص يمكن الجهات الاستثمارية الأخرى اللي ممكن تدخل في هذا الموضوع. طبعا من هذه الأمور الموضوع الأساسي بما يخص الغذاء اللي هي الحبوب والزيوت. شنو القدرات الموجودة لدى نيوم لهذا الموضوع أو to handle يعني this kind of grain and oil. الشيء الثاني معدات التفريق، سواء كان القرابات ولا بنوماتيك لهذا الموضوع. هل هناك جاهزية الآن في هذا الموضوع؟ وأنا تشرفت حقيقة بالأخ، كنت معاه الأخ جان، تكلمت معاه بهذا الموضوع، بس يمكن مو إذا ما كان الآن موجود ممكن يكون في تايم فريم لهذا الموضوع ونعرف شنو جاهزية الموضوع. الشيء الثاني بالأخص الشيء الثالث اللي هو الأويل تانكس اللي ممكن تكون داخل الميناء اللي ممكن نخزن فيها هذه الأويلز. اليوم الأويلز اللي موجودة عندنا في الخليج اللي هي الذرة، السنفلاور، الصويا أويل، هذه الزيوت، فهذه تحتاج أيضا إلى مخازن، وإذا قدرنا نعرف سعتها كم هذه المخازن من المهم جدا. أيضا أنا أدري أن سؤالي طويل، ودي أن أسمحوا لي يعني. الشيء الثاني اللي هو الصوامع أو السايلوز. السايلوز وايد مهم أن احنا نعرف السايلوز الموجودة، هل هي ستيل سايلو، هل هي اسمنتية، مع العلم أن يعني احنا نقدر يعني نتعامل مع بوث، بس يعني نبي نعرف كم السعة لهذه السايلو، وإذا ما كانت موجودة بالوقت الحالي متى ممكن أن هي تكون موجودة. وأيضا طاقتها في التخزين القصير الطويل، هذا أيضا مهم جدا. وأنا اللي شفته اليوم أن ما في لاين اب على البواخر في نيوم حسب اللي فهمته يعني، ودنا نعرف أن اليوم احنا في عندنا بواخر جاية للكويت. أنا أتكلم عن البلك شيبمنت. هل راح يكون في لاين اب في هذا الموضوع؟ هل عندكم لاين اب في هذا الموضوع؟ أيضا ذكرت ويمكن بديتيل شوية عن الخط البري إلى الكويت. ذكرت أن المسافة من جدة إلى الكويت نفس المسافة من نيوم إلى الكويت. يعني احنا مع أن نشوفها بالخريطة كأنه أبعد شوي، بس يعني I'm sure أن أنتم يعني عندكم هذا الموضوع. وذكرت أيضا القطار جدا مهم. اليوم نقل الحبوب اليوم الأفضل أن يكون بالقطار. يعني هذا موضوع مهم جدا. إن شاء الله نتمنى من الله العلي القدير أن كل دول الخليج تكون فيها ترانسبير يعني القطارات هذه. فآسف للإطالة، لكن هذا اللي كان عندي، ومشكورين وما قصرتوا مرة ثانية، وخصوصا في هذه الأوقات تسلمون، والغرفة والجماعة ما قصروا صراحة.
شكرا.
وهذا طبعا مو غريب عليكم، يعني الأخوة بالسعودية دائما سباقين، ما قصرتوا تسلمون.
شكرا أبو يوسف. مستر
William, yes, you can.
Luckily, that was a short question. Now, to maybe explain, within the Port of Neom, we have arrangement with the Food Authority in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and they are building at the moment silos inside the industrial quarter of Neom. Those silos are meant for the food security of Saudi Arabia, and they will be operated by Sabel as a separate one. We are in the process of procuring the ship unloaders with a capacity of about 600 tons per hour, and those should be coming into the Port of Neom early 2027. As a short-term solution, we're looking at the grab and hopper solution, which we should be able to have operational within the next 2 months in order to handle emergency volumes coming through the port. As for silos, we are planning to build silos in the Port of Neom, but we're actually looking towards customers or partners to develop the right solution for that. Is this going to be a silo for a 10-day storage, or is the silo where we're going to have longer-term storage? So the requirements will be different for each and one of those. So we will be more than happy to sit together with you to understand what kind of volumes you have in mind in order for us to adjust what we're going to be putting in place to accommodate your needs and potentially needs of others in the region. So that's where we are right now. We foresee that grain will be an important thing. With regard to the rail that you mentioned, yes, the rail doesn't reach Neom right now. In the future, we've been discussing that at length before this meeting, that would be a really good solution. Right now, the closest one is Jove, which is a little city or town just under Skaka, from where it would be trucking. So you would be able to get kind of a good turnaround to Jove, from where you would be able to put it on the rail. Then with regards to oils, at this moment in time, we don't have that storage capacity in place. We are looking if there are short-term solutions to support customers that have that requirement, and we're willing to discuss that and to see how we can put a temporary solution in place until we build a more permanent solution. If you looked at the picture of the port that Ranjit showed, there's roughly 3+ kilometers of quay that's been built with a bare land behind it. That allows us to bring in different commodities at different times and build purposely made storage facilities behind it. At this moment in time, we've kept it flexible in order for us to either expand container or expand into different areas such as edible oils, grain, etc. And that's what we build as a flexibility in there. What I would like to say is that our current capacity is 250,000 TEUs. As Ranjit has mentioned, we are putting our first 2 ship-to-shore cranes into operation very briefly to up that to 500,000 TEU capacity. With our 10 mobile harbor cranes today, we've done all different types of general cargo, bulk cargo, project cargo, as well as containers through the port. The port, as you probably all know, it was Dibba Port. When we took over the port in 2022, the port never shut down, and the only thing that we've seen is an increase in volume. One of the things that we have done is to bring in-house some of the lifting capabilities that normally is done by third parties. So for example, we had wind turbines, wind blades, we have done water pipelines, we have all kind of large items we brought into the port, and we have actually started building up the capabilities as an operational port to do that in-house. And we're one of the first few of the ports in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia where actually all that is done in-house. And we have also had some of the larger projects where we had 1,000-ton bullets come through the port in order to support our Neom green hydrogen facility that's being built further down the coast. But our message today is we are trying to support and find solutions. We have built in the flexibility in the way we've designed the port, and we can work together with partners to develop the right solution to solve your needs. And in that sense, yes, we would be really eager to have a discussion with regards to grains, different types of grains, as you and I had a brief discussion, to see how we can support you and maybe other people in the room to get that going.
Thank you.
I hope I answered your question.
Just the shipping lines.
Oh, sorry, yeah, the shipping lines. We have currently, we have agreements with CMA and MSC that if there are sufficient volumes, they will call the Port of Neom to make a stop. We also, as Ranjit mentioned already, we have Falk Maritime. And from a bulk cargo, we're working together with COSCO, Shipper Brock, and other partners to bring in general cargo and project cargo into the Port of Neom. So we have the relationship with the shipping lines. Most of them have been there already at least once. And as and when required, we can activate those connections for you.
Any further information? Okay. Thank you. إذا في سؤال ثاني تفضل الصف الثالث بالنص. تعرف بنفسك إذا سمحت.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم. وياكم المهندس أحمد العتيجي رئيس تنفيذي لشركة نقل وتجارة المواشي. أول شيء حابين نشكر طبعا غرفة التجارة وجميع الزوار الكرام وعلى اللقاء الصراحة مفيد جدا في قطاعنا. بس كان عندنا 3 أسئلة يمكن سريعة. إحداهم if you allow me to speak in English to Mr. Ranjith. You mentioned a lot about the cost savings, especially since today Al Mawashi company owns its own vessels. So we're very keen to see what opportunities there are to use our vessels to offload in Neom port. Of course, the related question would be in regards to the feedlots, if they are available in Neom port, especially since we deal with livestock. So we were just wondering about the availability of that in Neom port, and if this facility is available or not. In addition, of course, there's the taxation of the offloading in Saudi Arabia. So we're just wondering, in case of the transit to Kuwait, especially since it's a different entity when we're talking about livestock, is that negated if there is a feedlot that we can offload in? I think that is our question.
I think my colleague Ranjit has been listening to the Arabic translation.
Yes.
He spoke English, Ranjit.
Yeah.
Thank you. So for livestock, as of today, in the past, before we took over the port, there has been some livestock. As of today, the last 4 years, we haven't handled any livestock. We have had more requests recently to see how we can do that. The question is, of course, where the livestock will be, I would call, positioned after they leave the ship. So there's a certain quarantine area and quarantine timing after which they leave the port. So that will be something that we would pick up individually with you in order to discuss possibilities there. In our team, we've had some experience with livestock, so we do understand. But as of today, in all honesty, the facilities to do that aren't there. Now, is that something we can create? Yes. It just depends on volumes and frequency, and see how we can support you there. But yeah, I will definitely take that up with you personally to get you in touch with the right operational people to discuss the specific things with regarding to regulations, as well as to how the operational process could work.
Thank you Mr. William. إذا في
قبل
أي
ما-
سؤال ثاني
Yeah.
ناخذ الجنب هذا ونرجع. تفضلي.
Hello. Hi, good morning. I just want to verify, like, is there container carriers calling from Far East Asia, like from China ports? And secondly, for break bulk vessels,
Excuse me.
yeah.
She got the mic now. I think she gonna take the
Okay, all right.
question.
Okay.
I
Sure.
will back to you. No
Okay.
problem.
Hello. Good morning, all, and thank you very much for the insightful presentation. My name is Lujanan. We're representing Gulf Cables and Electrical Industries Group. As a manufacturer, we import a lot of raw materials from different countries, and we are in contact with the biggest shipping lines as to the process of bringing our goods, if it arrives to Jeddah port via transit clearance to Kuwait. And the biggest issue that we're facing is that all shipping lines are asking us to return the empty containers back to Saudi. So when we're coordinating with different freight forwarders, they charge us double the price for double the trip to bring the containers from Saudi to Kuwait and send it back. So is there any plan to have an agreement with the shipping lines to give us like some sort of a breather in this situation, and to have maybe a specific depot in Kuwait where we can return those empty containers?
We actually had a discussion about this on Monday when we talked to the port authority here. I think there's 2 points to that in my answer. One is yes, there are discussions going on. The problem is where to return them to, as the shipping lines don't really want their empty containers in the Gulf, and they want them back. On the other hand, it does allow you an opportunity to reduce your trucking costs tremendously, because after the first shipment that you get, your Kuwaiti truck can now take an empty back to the port, and he's allowed to go. And what we've learned in the last few days, that taking a Kuwaiti truck into Saudi is a lot cheaper than taking a Saudi truck. So from your cost perspective, you should actually be happy that you can take that empty container back, because that allows you now to bypass the rule that an empty truck is not allowed to come into Saudi. It's returning cargo and the container is empty. So I would go back to your Kuwaiti trucking companies and actually ask them to take your empty container back and reduce your cost tremendously. Now, of course, you could do the same thing through the port of Neom, and we would be happy to assist you, but that would be my answer to you.
Perfect, thank you. And if I may ask a follow-up question, a lot of the transporters that we've spoken to, whether in Kuwait or Saudi, have all put 24 hours of free time once the trucks enter in Kuwait. And of course, for an industrial company, we have to go through certain approvals to clear chemical items, which can take up to 48 to 72 hours. So we end up facing potentially a very high cost in detention charges. So if you could advise on this issue, please.
Yeah, that's slightly more difficult. As the port, we generally don't get involved with the trucking companies and the way they charge. From experience, I can say yes, you have a fair point there, and that is always a negotiation with the trucking company with regards to volumes and getting the correct price. It is a problem that we see. The key issue is now scarcity of material, and as such, everybody they have a lot more freedom to ask for what they want. So the one thing that we do from the Port of Neom is we look at how we can actually put the right people in the room in order to come to a full solution, so that it doesn't become a piecemeal that you have to talk to 20 different people, but that we actually get everybody in one room and agree that this is the process, this is the procedures, and yes, you're being charged fairly. Now, I don't take any part in that transport leg, but at least we advise. One of the other things we do if you talk about oversized cargo or special cargo, is that we actually look at the traffic plan that they have in order to ensure that once it leaves the port, that it can be done in a safe way. Because health and safety and security is a very important point to us, and our responsibility doesn't stop automatically when it leaves the port. In reality it does, but we feel that we are responsible for that cargo until it reaches you, to ensure that it has a safe passage. But as for the rate question that you asked, I can't really answer that one for you.
Thank you.
Just to add to those comments from Jan Willem, firstly on your empty containers being delivered back to country, I know within Saudi Arabia that MSC is looking at ways to send the empty containers to keep them in depot in Dammam. So it might be worth talking to MSC to see if they can do a similar arrangement in Kuwait. With regards to the second question on truck cost, that comes back to my point in the presentation about it might be worth talking to Saudi Rail just to see if you're able to get a competitive price on a railroad option, which would not normally work, but in the times of this emergency it might be an option.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please, gentlemen,
Sorry for that.
introduce
I
yourself,
didn't notice.
please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go back to my question. We are from Kirby Building System. We import raw materials majorly from Far East Asia. So we are keen to know whether there are shipping services currently operating. Plus, we also want to know what is your free period in the port itself, like for general cargo that is given in Neom. So that's my question.
Yeah, so we have received quite a lot of cargo for the Neom as a destination from the Far East. A lot of that transits through Jeddah if it's container, and if it's GC, it comes directly to the port of Neom. So yes, that is possible. As for the free storage period, we are following the Mawani tariff that is along the Red Sea. From memory, I think for GC it's 5 days. But as we are in a bit of a delicate situation right now, we are seeing together with clients how we can support them to extend that free time depending on volumes and requirements. And as Ranjit mentioned earlier on the presentation, we've got quite a large area for storage available, and we probably can provide you with some flexibility that you might not get in the other ports right now.
Thank you.
تفضل.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Murad Abu Khadr, Procurement Manager for Al Faisal Bakery and Sweets Company. I wonder if we choose to use the service of Neom ports, is our shipment going to be treated as a transit shipment or as per the agreement between GCC countries that all shipments arriving to any of the GCC countries ports or overland stations, it should be custom cleared in the spot. And for the returning of this empty containers, there's a good solution is we can offload the shipment towards a truck towards Kuwait. So is it possible to be provided by the authority of Neom port, or should we seek for the help of local providers in KSA since we don't have any contacts and services in there? Thank you.
Yeah, so maybe the first question, if it comes in by truck through the RoPax, it would be under the TIR regulations, which means would be transit to Kuwait. If it comes in by container, then you probably will have to clear customs and pay the duties upon entering GCC. So that would be in the Port of Neom. Now, if you want us to transfer that to a local truck and then continue from there, that is definitely a service we are looking at. We're making available part of the warehouse facilities we have to do cross-docking. So the container will dock on one dock, and we will be able to offload the cargo onto a normal standard truck to continue the journey for you. And we have partnerships with multiple trucking companies where we can assist you in putting a solution like that together.
Sorry, one more question. According to the authorities, custom authorities of KSA, all shipments going through KSA or arriving to KSA should be palletized. All of our shipments that be offset if we are transport service or something like so. If there is a solution in there or not.
So again, within the Mawani regulation as of today, that is a new regulation. Everything has to be palletized. We do provide also palletization services if and when required. We can have a discussion on that one separately, how we could support you on that one, because we understand certain types of cargo will not manifest itself very well on a pallet. But we can discuss that with you offline to see how we can support you on that one.
الأسئلة المتعلقة في الشحن بشكل عام في على الويب سايت مال غرفة التجارة في استمارة تعبيها، وإحنا نتواصل مع الأعضاء في دول مجلس التعاون كلهم وبما فيهم المملكة العربية السعودية، نجاوبك على كافة الأسئلة، وفي فريق مختص أيضا يتابع هذه الأمور. موجودة الكونتاكس موجودة على وسائط التواصل الاجتماعي وموقع الغرفة أيضا. ننتقل إذا لسؤال ثاني. تفضل.
السلام عليكم، يعطيكم العافية. مني في المطيري، IEC Director and Equate Petrochemical Company. I guess a major part of the presentation, as well as the question of the people, were influenced by the crisis, the current crisis that is happening. But this is not going to be forever, hopefully. I guess my question is towards the strategy Moana is doing in Saudi. I know now that Jeddah port is fully utilized, 95% utilization compared to Yanbu and Rabagh, 35%. Now getting into Niyom, basically, so is there a long-term strategy that they segment basically the loadings between the West Coast? Because we look at those ports as West Coast Saudi, basically. It's an access through Suez Canal to Mediterranean Europe, basically, or even through Bab el-Mandeb to probably Southern Africa. I guess the second question is with regard to if you see the concept of supply chain, it's delivered on time and cost efficient. So how is me utilizing Neom in the long term be cost efficient compared to my own ports, basically, or Jabal Ali or the others, basically? You know that port utilization is actually dictated between the competition of having more shipping lines. You said MSC and CMA actually operated over there. I know a colleague of mine, Hisham Al-Ansari from MSC, is very active over there in the West Coast side, basically. We're in the same team in the GPCA. But I guess this is the question. What's your strategy in expanding Neom? What kind of trade lanes, what kind of products you're going to be dealing with? And because what actually nags me the most as a supply chain director for so many years, actually, it's the basic and undeveloped infrastructure between the GCCs. Basically, we're talking about trains, they're not connected. It's trucking. Trucking and Kuwait in specific, we have a huge lack of it. Now we got more, it's just because everything is coming from Jeddah, so basically they want a return trip, basically. but it's still very expensive. Thinking of bimodals now, this is what we're thinking of, because we actually take bulks and containers, and bimodal is very, very expensive, to be honest. So I guess we should be more towards strategies within the GCC, even from ports' point of views, and how do I make this cost efficient, so basically it lures me and the others of actually using Neom or any Saudi port if Shueikh port opens back again. So it's that kind of integration that we're lacking within GCC. Thank you.
Just I take this one and then you go. Yeah. Okay, so just to begin, just in terms of the strategy, I'll start with the response to the current events and then look at the longer term strategy in terms of rail. In terms of the current events, what our position is, not just in Neom but in all of the Red Sea ports, is we see that there's a new normal going forward, where there will be a need for, especially for the large companies in the Gulf, to have a primary distribution hub in the Gulf after the straits are opened. But they will also be looking for resilience to have a secondary hub in the Red Sea. Whether that's Neom or one of the other ports in the Red Sea, that's not so important. It's more that they want that secondary distribution hub. So that's really what we expect to happen post crisis. With regards to the second question in terms of rail, you're absolutely correct that truck is not the way to do this. That is absolutely true, but the reality is that we are in this position today where we need to resolve the short-term transit, and that will have to be, at least from Riyadh onwards, will have to be truck because the rail is not available. What I can also say in Saudi Arabia is there is an immense focus now on rail to cross the country. And of course, the primary route that's been looked at over many years now is the Saudi land bridge, which is a link between Riyadh and Jeddah. What we are also discussing, but it's in its very early days, but just to leave it in your heads, is that the distance that needs to be connected by rail from the nearest rail depot to the port of Neom is actually less than the distance of connecting Riyadh to Jeddah. So it may be an option as we move forward, potentially in partnership with Kuwait, is to look at connecting the shorter distance, which is between Al Juf and Port of Neom, and that could be done faster than between the primary route of Riyadh to Jeddah. Now, I cannot, speak on behalf of the Saudi government, but it is an idea that is certainly being investigated in Saudi Arabia today.
Yeah, maybe if I can add, the original strategy of the Port of Neom was aligned with the other ports along the Red Sea. And if you look at the map, there's around every 400 kilometers there's a port. And that's the natural catchment area behind it should be served by that port. With its strategic location at the start of the Suez Canal, we looked at it and we thought, if we do northern KSA, meaning Tabuk province, Al Jawf province, northern borders, and Hyle, that's probably the natural catchment area of the Port of Neom. Behind that, if you then start looking one step further, would be Iraq and Kuwait as two natural options from a distance and a location point of view. So that was always the original strategy. We think that traffic coming from North America or traffic coming from Europe has a faster transit time by going onto a truck than it is going all the way around, coming to the ports in the Gulf. And that was actually our positioning has been all along. Now with what happened with recent events, that has actually sped up our implementation of these solutions. We've seen already that the first shipments that we did into Iraq saved about 10 days compared to going around. And then you have congestions in the different ports in certain cases. Sometimes it has to go on a feeder vessel in the Gulf. So from that point, if you look at what's the positioning, it's positioning ourselves from the North American, European trade coming down, having a faster route to market than going around. For the Asia traffic, that's slightly a different story because most probably it's easier to come straight to you. Every time you change the mode of transport, and we know that, adds a cost factor. And that's the strange thing today, that if you look at a solution with Saudi Rail, with the current trucking rates, it's actually cheaper than trucking it all the way. And you and I probably agree that that doesn't make any sense. But it is, because Saudi Rail has been asked by the government to keep its rate table as was published. So that helps us in this stage. So, yeah, normally I would say one mode of transport is the best, but in this case, there is advantages to look at multimodal, and you could even bring it into Dammam and then put it on a feeder vessel. Even that solution apparently is on the table. People are looking at it. Doesn't make sense logically, but in the times we're in, it does make sense. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. ناخذ سؤال بعد. تفضل آخر شيء.
السلام عليكم، يعطيكم العافية ومشكورين على المجهود الطيب. سمير سامي من الشركة الأولى لصناعة الحديد. Just I need to ask two questions. The first regarding the bulk shipment. We need to know what the port charges, stevedore, handling charges, and the discharging rate per metric ton per day about the bulk shipment. And the second question, the storage and warehousing, what the 3 days and what the charge after the 3 days is done. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the first question, I can be very straightforward. All our tariffs are public, and they can be downloaded from the Port of Neom website. So there's different components that make up the bulk charges. So I can't name you a number right off the top of my head, but I would say if you go to the Port of Neom website, portofneom.com, you will be able to download all the rates accordingly. As for the warehouse, unfortunately, there are no free days in a warehouse. But that is mainly because the warehouse services are tailor-made to the specific requirements of the client. Now, if it's a standard cross-docking service, then we can discuss that, and that would be a one-off. But in general speaking, we're looking at long-term agreements with customers to store, pick, pack, and distribute their goods as and when required.
Just to make a point that in general, you can see that we have a lot of space in the Port of Neom. So if there needs to be some incentives in terms of storage outside the warehouse, please come back to us, because it's one lever that we can use to make it more attractive.
تفضل أخوي. شقة في
السلام عليكم. محمد الصراف من شركة الجزيرة لوجيستكس. I would like to speak in Arabic. It's more better for me. احنا كشركة نقل
بس ترفع صوتك معي.
احنا كشركة نقل عندنا شاحنات خاصة فينا، نواجه بعض المشاكل في السعودية. مثلا في حالة إذا كان عندي شاحنة متوجهة إلى السعودية محملة في بضاعة، من الصعب أن أوجه هذه الشاحنة أخليها مثلا تروح وحدة من المواني، سواء كان ميناء نيوم، ميناء جدة. فحابين أن نوصل إلى حل بحيث أن أنا عندي شاحنات حاليا متواجدة هناك. بعض الأخوان مثلا من الشركات الأخرى تتواصل ويانا تقول لنا إحنا عندنا شحنة في ميناء جدة، في ميناء نيوم، أيا يكن، حابين نحمل. للأسف هذا الأمر صعب بالنسبة لنا. لازم الشاحنة ترجع للكويت وتطلع، يطلع لها يطلع لها بيان جمركي وتتوجه إلى الميناء، بحيث أن تحمل الحاوية وترجع فيها، ومن ثم مرة ثانية ترجع إلى ميناء جدة أو الميناء اللي كانت محملة منها. فهذه واحدة من المشاكل اللي تواجهنا بالوقت الحالي. اتمنى لو نلقى لها حل. تفضل
اخوي. احنا بالنسبه للاسئله اللي متعلقه في الشحن ارجو انك ترسلها لنا الغرفه مثل ما قلت لك على الرابط الموجود، استماره بس تعبيها، لان هذه اشياء يعني متعلقه في الشحن بشكل عام واتفهمها فعلا موجوده، واحنا مشكلين لها فريق بالغرفه، وايضا متواصلين مع اخواننا في دول مجلس التعاون. وراح نجاوبك باسرع وقت ممكن، اذا مو نفس اليوم الثاني عندك الاجابه. فاي معوق يواجهك في عمليات النقل انت عندك هذا الرابط والاستماره، بس فقط تعبيها لو بتلفونك واحنا راح نتجاوب معك. لكن اذا في اسئله متعلقه في الميناء نفسه والجماعه مستعدين، بس ناخذ السؤال هني ونرجع لكم. ابو حمد تفضل.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Nassim Zubaydi from Kuwait Saudi Pharmaceutical Industries Company, part of Mizan Holding Group. In fact, I have two questions regarding Neom port. First question is, do you have a free trade zone or something like what we have in Jeddah port, like bounded zone, where I can offload my containers there, de-stuff it in my trucks and bring it back to Kuwait? And then at the port itself, I'm returning back the container. So I don't need to truck it to Kuwait and return it back. Second question, in fact, everybody's familiar about the congestion in the regional ports. Is there anything that Neom port can coordinate with such ports like maybe Khorfakan or Fujairah or Salalah, just to reduce the load from there, transfer the containers or the trucks or the shipments to Neom where we can process it further? Maybe it will be faster than waiting in queue for many very long queue to have that process done. Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, the question on free trade zone. We are in the process in Port of Neom of getting our license for the free trade zone. So we don't have the free trade zone today, but we will have it over the course of 2026. We do have a bonded zone inside the Port of Neom today. So that answers your first question. The second question in terms of transferring cargo from other ports in the GCC to Neom, I mean, I haven't thought about this one in detail, so I'd like to come back to you. But my first question is, it's the cost issue, right? Is it worth sending that cargo on two legs? But having said that, if it's a real demand, and you really think that that there is a use case for this, please send us an email and we'll see what we can do to coordinate with the other ports. We do coordinate with the Red Sea ports extensively through Mawani in Saudi Arabia, but the other ports in UAE and Oman we're not officially coordinating with at the moment. But we all have connections there, and we could certainly make that inquiry if there's a use case.
Okay, thank you so much. One more thing, last thing. We have a lot of shipments which oversized, or it's an open containers. Do you have the facility to safely offload such big consignments?
Yes, in our existing operations, as I mentioned before, we've brought a lot of that operation in-house, and that's mainly for project and bulk cargo. So it's all oversized. They make lift plans and they safely store them and load them back onto the vehicles as and when required. As I said as well, one of the things we do pride ourselves on, that we then sit together with our clients to make the onward traffic plan as well, to ensure safe delivery all the way to Kuwait in this instance.
تفضل نبتدي ابو حمد وبعدين نرجع لك ان شاء الله.
أول شيء مشكورين وما قصرتوا غرفة التجارة والصناعة على المؤتمر وعلى الإخوان اللي جايين من المملكة العربية السعودية بهالموضوع هذا المهم. I have first of all, I'm Abdul Latif al-Bahar from Kuwait Shipping Association. I think you guys answered most of our questions regarding international liners and the port operations. I just need a clarification on the presentation. You mentioned that you're currently having 300 plugins for reefers. Is it at the current moment or at the completion of the project? Are they all operational at the moment, those 300?
All 300 are operational at the moment. And as and when we activate Terminal 1, the number of reefer plugs will go up to 5 to 8 times. The facility that part is under construction, but in our current facility that we're operating, the 250,000 TEU, yes, the 300 reefer plugs are there.
Thank you so much.
And they work. Yes.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. عبد الله يعقوب عباس من وزارة الخارجية. الحقيقة بس في استفسار واحد ما يتعلق في الأطر التشريعية والقوانين لميناء نيوم. هل له تشريعات وقوانين خاصة مثل ميناء الملك عبد الله، مدينة الملك عبد الله، أو له قوانين وتشريعات حكومية تابعة لوزارة النقل؟ وشكرا.
The Port of Neom is it is regulated by Mawani, but it also has a special status that the other regulations that would be normally under Mawani are currently regulated under Neom itself. So what does that mean in practice? It means that if decisions are needed, between operations and the regulator or customs, we can do the negotiations directly with customs rather than going through Mawani. So usually we'll be able to get a faster result. And that will get even more efficient as we bring the free zone online later this year.
أنا أعتقد يعني نتوقف الآن، أعذرني، ويمكن نقدر ناخذ الأسئلة المتبقية برا في الاستراحة، لكن احنا الآن مضطرين نتوقف. ولكن أنا أبي أنوه لبعض النقاط. القنصلية الكويتية في جدة، مثل وزارة الخارجية، يعني الجماعة أبدوا اهتمام كبير واستعداد كبير لتلقي أي استفسارات والمساعدة في أي عمليات لوجستية وصعوبات تواجهكم في عملكم. احنا في تواصل معاهم، والجماعة مو مقصرين، مسخرين إمكانياتهم معانا. فأتمنى أن ما ترددون، تستخدمون هذه الكونكشنز، موجودة على الويب سايت عندنا، موجودة على مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي. تراسلونا بالحال، راح يتم التواصل معاكم والإجابة على أسئلتكم. نعم، احنا نمر في ظروف استثنائية، المطار مغلق، الموانئ مغلقة، ولكن الشقيقة المملكة العربية السعودية ما قصرت معنا، وقاعدين، وأيضا الأشقاء في دول مجلس التعاون قاعدين نشتغل على 3 موانئ. يمكن أشار لهم أبو يوسف، أخوي أبو يوسف سيد مطلق زايد، أن في 3 دول حاليا ما عندها منافذ، وفي 3 دول عندها منافذ. وهذا يعني جسد تعاون كبير بين دول المجلس، ويعتبر مثال ونموذج يحتذى به بين دول، خصوصا في الأزمات. بالنهاية أنا ما لي أتقدم لكم بالشكر على اهتمامكم وحضوركم وعنوتكم، وأشكر ضيوفنا الكرام على تكبدهم عناء السفر إلى الكويت في مثل هذه الظروف. ولكن أنا أعتقد الميناء ميناء مهم استراتيجيا، وجدير بأن احنا نبذل مجهود تجاهه حتى في المستقبل وليس الآن فقط. شكرا لكم.
الله يعافيك. تسلم الأخ أبو عبد الله عماد الزيد، وشكر الحضور مرة أخرى. وحنا يعني مش مغادرين الآن، موجودين يعني الإجابة على استفسارات، ولكن ربما في مكان آخر في الاستراحة. أكيد ربما البعض عنده تفاصيل أكثر عن بعض الشحنات، خاصة موضوع الاستيراد، وحنا يعني سعداء أنه نساعدكم في هذا الموضوع، موضوع الاستيراد والتصدير، وكذلك أي شيء آخر يتعلق بالغرفة التجارية. فيما يخص موضوع الأخوان اللي ممكن ربما بعدين أو ربما يأتيكم استفسارات أخرى عن إمكانية التواصل معنا، احنا موجودين. وكذلك كما أشار الأخ عماد الزيد عن وجود القنصلية الكويتية في جدة، احنا نزودهم الآن في معلوماتنا أكثر وأكثر. التواصل معنا على الإجابة أي استفسار، أو أي شخص أو أي شركة أو كيان تجاري له رغبة في الاستفادة من خدمات الاستيراد والتصدير من ميناء نيوم. شكرا لحضوركم مرة أخرى، وشكرا للغرفة التجارية كذلك مرة ثانية وثالثة ورابعة. تشرفنا فيكم جميعا باسمنا وباسم فريقنا، فريق ميناء نيوم. احنا حاضرين كذلك أي واحد ربما زي ما أشرت عنده استفسار لحالات معينة، أكيد ما في أحد يتشابه سؤاله ربما مع سؤال شركة أخرى أو ممثل آخر. فإن شاء الله احنا موجودين إلى الساعة 12:30 تقريبا، ثم بنغادر لأنه لدينا عندنا موعد الساعة 1 في مكان آخر. حفظكم الله ورعاكم وشكرا لكم. وحنا حاضرين ربما أحد له رغبة في زيارات، ربما بيطلع على إمكانات أو زيارات ميناء نيوم، نحن حاضرين كذلك، نستطيع أن نرتب ذلك. نعم.
شكرا لك.
شكرا.
Maybe a last thank you to the translator. He did a fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you.